Okay, so here we are, first ever free golf clinic, Facebook Live. We're trying this Facebook Live thing, never been done before, so we'll see how it goes. But the whole point of this is that I want people to feel like they can come to our Facebook Live broadcast once a week, every Sunday at 7 o'clock, and you can ask questions. And I will get into specifics about how we can maybe help you out with your golf swing, golf game, or anything else. It could be equipment related, it could be anything. Also, we're going to feature a little bit about the simulators you see here, and indoor golf in the wintertime and so on, and what you can do on these machines. But for the most part, it's all about trying to help you with your golf game. So that's what we're here to discuss tonight. Again, my name is Matt Vachon. I've been teaching golf for 15 years plus. I've enjoyed teaching all ages, from 3 years old, 4 years old, all the way to 9 years old. It's a perfect sport for any age. Anyone wanting to get into it, that's what I want to see. We want to help grow the game. So the idea of this is maybe more people will share it. They'll get some good tips, whether they're beginner tips, more advanced tips, it doesn't matter. My belief is that there's a lot of tips out there. You can join the golf channel and get 5, 6, 7 tips a day, but you have no idea if it works for you or if it even applies to you. So you don't want to start changing things in your golf swing that you don't even know if it even applies to your golf swing. So what this will do is that you can actually ask specific things that you're actually having trouble with, and I'll ask a few questions about what's happening with your shot and so on. So I invite people to come on down to Neo Laser Tag. Our simulators are set up in Neo Laser Tag in Timmins. We have 2 simulators, so I'll show you our bays here. We got one here on the left, and then we got another one to the right. So the nice thing about golf simulators is that you can be on the driving range, which we have right now. And you just hit buckets, balls, and just take your time. It's all based on time. It's not that you don't have to hit 100 balls or 200 balls. It's all based on time. So you come a half hour or 1 hour and just hit balls, or you can actually play a roundabout, which we're not going to get into tonight, but you can play a real roundabout. So if you haven't ever seen one of these, that's how it works. So today, what I want to do is just kind of get into some of the features of what these machines can do. And I'm going to hopefully get a few questions in from a few people. I've had a few already. I've had a question or a suggestion from someone up north, Andre Rochaud, a really great golfer. He asked to maybe talk a little bit about alignment. And then his brother Al asked a little bit about grip and alignment and then posture. So those are all key things before you even start thinking about moving the golf club, which is really, really important. You got to get these things. These are things you got to work on every day, and you just got to remember them. And the pros, all the best players in the world, they are constantly working on things like posture. Posture is very, very important. So just those little things. I'll talk about how to get into a better posture for yourself and make sure you do these little checkpoints. Yeah, we'll get into. So first I'm just going to show you a little bit here. I got a little bit of tape here down here, so I'll talk about this when we start talking about alignment. But I want to see what's going on with the screen here. And so if I take a shot, these simulators can give you a lot of information. So if I take a shot here, okay, you can see the ball flying down the fairway or down the driving range. And what we want to do is when the ball comes to a stop, you can have the information can stay up for a long time or just a couple of seconds. So I'm going to stop the screen here, and I'll go through a little bit of the information. So what this machine can really work on is a few things. So right here we have a club head speed, which is a key part for any golfer trying to improve their distance or anything like that. You want to work on your club head speed. So this will show you that. It'll show you every swing. Are you getting better? Are you starting to make the right motion to get more club head speed? The other thing it'll tell you how far the ball carried in the air and then how far it went total. This carry distance is very, very important. Knowing how far your shots carry in the air on average is a huge, huge advantage when you get out on the golf course. Knowing your yardages or your distances is a huge advantage. That's kind of, I call it the art of the game. Knowing your tools and how far they work for you is kind of that lost art of the game that you really got to constantly, it's always changing. Your swings are going to get better, your swings are going to get worse sometimes. It's always going to change. But the more familiar you are with your distances, especially your carry distances, the stronger player you'll become. So I'm moving down the list here. We have our ball speed. So if I have good club head speed, I want that to transfer into very strong ball speed. So if I'm working on my driver, for instance, this is where this really comes into factor. If I want to get more distance, I want to have good club head speed, but I also want to transfer energy into the ball so that this ball speed goes up. If you're not hitting the ball solid, you'll see that this won't be very good, which will bring me to the next very important number, and this is really cool on these machines, is that it's right here. It's called smash factor. Okay? So smash factor, it's a ratio. It's a ratio between these two numbers. So if I didn't hit a very good solid shot, this ratio will be lower. So 1.33 was the last shot I hit. That's okay. That's about average. A very well-struck shot should be about 1.5. The maximum allowable by RNA and USGA is 1.6. That's the most you can really, that's the most you should be able to put a golf club going at a certain speed, and the ball shouldn't exceed that 1.6 ratio. It used to be 1.55, now it's 1.6, so you got to make sure that if your equipment is legal, you'll be within those guidelines. If it's a little bit outside those guidelines, you're going to get more. You're either using an unconforming ball, club, or something like that, or you just struck it extremely well. But like I said, so average what you're shooting for is to be between 1.4 and 1.5 on a regular basis. That's when you're really striking it really good. So that's a really neat number to look at. Other things to look at, especially again driver and wedges or irons, is your launch angle, right here. So 24.5 degrees. This doesn't mean much when you're really working on your irons, to be honest. If you're really low, then yes, you can start working on getting the ball higher and so on. But realistically, it's for drivers. When you're working on your driver, you want to get this number somewhere between 12 and 14 degrees. For a stronger player, more club head speed, you might see it more between 9 to 11 degrees. And you want to keep the next number, which is your spin rate right here, backspin, or RPMs. You want to keep those numbers down. You want to be under 3,000. So those are all the things that you can be working on with a simulator. If you're on your own private or if with a buddy. So one thing that we want to make sure everyone understands, when you're going into a simulator, whether it's here in Timmins or any simulator in Ontario or anywhere, usually it's you pay for the time, and you can have as many people as you want during that time. So if you have 2 or 3 buddies and you just want to hit balls together, it's a set fee. So let's say $20 for the hour. You can divide that between 3 people. So it's not you're not stuck paying $60 for an hour. So just before, again, this Facebook Live thing, we're learning a little bit about how it works. So what we want to make sure happens is I got to kind of just remind people why we're here and what we're doing. So again, my name is Matt Bashel. We're here talking about golf tips, golf information, anything you want to learn about the golf swing. So what I'm looking for from you is questions. Give me some content. Give me some things that you'd like me to discuss. You can even say something specific about your golf swing. You lose the ball to the right a lot. I can ask you a couple of questions about that, and you can answer me, and I can get into more specifics. But tonight, we're probably going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals, the starting points, and moving into a little bit of alignment and why you should consider better aligning your body, and you'll get better results. So we'll get into that as well. But I'm really looking for questions, content. So send me your questions. So as I said, we're going to be here every Sunday at 7 o'clock. Sundays at 7. We'll do it on a regular basis. Obviously over the holidays that'll be a little harder, but we're going to try to do it on a regular basis. We'll get it. So 7 o'clock, send me your questions and watch live. And once so I'm learning too with Facebook Live. Once we're done this session, you don't have to necessarily tune in live to get the benefits of it. You can watch it later at any time. So that'll be on. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit continue here. So one of the things that we can get into is the grip. So right off the first bat, I know we've all heard this before, whether you've seen Jack Nicklaus talk about it, Tiger Woods, it doesn't matter. Usually any veteran player is going to tell you, you got to know how to hold on to that club. So there's a couple of ways to do it, okay? And there's a couple of different strategies, but to be honest, you have to be comfortable. You have to feel like you got a good grip of the club. But a couple of fundamentals you want to look at when you're doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this line on the ground here to first align my club. So I'm going to line up the club nice and straight with this line to help me make sure that when I put my hands on the club, it's going to be in good relation to the club face. This is what you're trying to line up for, the leading edge, right at the front here. That's what your hands should be in a good alignment with, okay? So a couple ways to make sure we do that. When we're grabbing it, we're going to talk about the top hand, okay? The top hand. So I'm a right-handed golfer, so my top hand is the left hand. It's the opposite, obviously, for a lefty. So the top hand is we want to make sure that when we grab it, we're going to grab it diagonally across the fingers, not in the palm, okay? So that's the first thing. I'm going to line it up across my fingers, and I'm going to close my hand on it, okay? Keeping the club face straight. And I'm putting my thumb basically right in line with the club face, okay? So that's a fairly neutral grip. That's a neutral grip, we call that. Some, you might say, are, there's two other ways to look. So if I put this hand and I turn it this way, okay, where you see more of my knuckles up at the top here, that's called a strong grip. So my left hand in this case is very strong, okay, my top hand is strong. The other way is if I have my thumb over to this side and you see more of the grip, that's a weak grip. So what I try to do is I try to get everyone to try and get as much of a neutral grip as possible. Sometimes you might want to strengthen it a little, so I might turn it a little bit over to this way, to the right, just to strengthen it a bit, but right now, for now, we're trying to line up, do a good alignment with the leading edge. Alright, so we got our top hand on there. Bottom hand. We got to cover that thumb. And what I want to do at first is I want you to line your thumb, your top thumb, right in line with the other thumb, so they're straight. Okay? I'm not saying it's going to stay there, but that's what you should do at first, just to make sure you get the alignment right. So that way you get that hand on there, your thumbs are lined up with the leading edge. Okay? So both thumbs are with the leading edge. So once I have that, that's what I'm looking at from the top. I want that alignment. Now, if we go underneath the club, so this is where you can't see, this is the parts where you have to choose what's comfortable for you, okay? So, anybody who's starting out, more than likely you're going to start out with what's called a baseball grip. So again, the thumbs are in line, but on this side, it's called a baseball grip because all your fingers are touching the grip, okay? So these fingers are all on the grip, okay? So another very common one to use for someone starting out is called the interlock grip. Okay, so I'm going to take my pinky and my index and I'm going to lock them up. Again, not losing the top, keeping that the same. I'm just getting a better grip here with my fingers. So now my fingers are working more as one. The most important thing about a grip is that we don't want separation. You're trying to make your hands act as one, so that if one lever, they release, okay? So we want to make sure that that's what we're doing, is make sure the hands are together, okay? So the last grip is called, for any historians out there, it's called the Harry Vardon grip. Okay, Harry Vardon, longtime legend. What he started doing is what is called, is now known as the overlap grip. So we take the little pinky, and we slide the hand down, and we put it just in that crease between your index and your middle finger. So you just lay it right in that crease right there. Some people might put it right on top, but ideally, more likely, you're going to put it right in that little crease. So that's the overlap grip. It's not locked up, but it's just sitting there on top. What that does is gets my hand, again, closer together and acting more as one. So that's the most popular grip on the better players, the lower handicappers, pros, and all that. You're more likely going to see them have a little bit of an overlap grip, okay? But some might have a strong interlock, but for the most part, this is what you graduate to. And the reason for that is just that it makes your hands act more, again, as one lever. If you have any separation, what happens is that your hands do this. You have forces going against each other like that. That's what we want to avoid. We want them together, and we want them acting more as one. Okay? So that'll work better when you're actually making your swing. Your hands will do what they're supposed to do. So again, that's baseball grip, interlock, or the overlap. Not losing, of course, the lines at the top. So just back at the top here, this is a preference part. My thumb at the bottom here, the thumb that's at the very bottom, some might prefer to keep it right on the top, but more than likely, and it's something we're trying, is just to have it over to the side. Just making a little bit of contact with my index down here. Okay, so I'll just put it off to the side. Now when you're starting out, more than likely you're gonna get a nice little callus right there on inside of your thumb as you get used to that. You'll get a little blister for sure, guaranteed. I'm not gonna lie about it. You are definitely gonna get a little blister. Okay, and you might get a couple of blisters in other parts of your hand just because they're not used to it. But you'll get over it pretty fast. What you're gonna gain is accuracy. The club face is gonna do what it needs to do with your hands. Okay, so that's one thing that I see most amateurs or anybody starting out and so on, they have trouble getting that club to sit properly, nice and straight, get the grip on there nice and straight, in line so that your hands are working well with the club face. That's a very important part, okay? So that's the grip. So when we move on from there, and this is where we can get into some of this stuff right here with the lines on the ground. Alignment is a huge part of the golf game, but it's not the end-all be-all. You're not going to, you can still play pretty good golf if you're not perfectly aligned. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now, is understanding that you could be a little bit off but if you're in the right alignment, or a better alignment, or more productive alignment, you'll get better results. That's just the key. You can get good at lining up a particular way, and you're going to adjust your swing, the actual swing part, and you'll adjust it to make sure that you're hitting it towards the target you want it. So you can still play good golf with poor alignment. However, you will lack the ability to generate more power. You'll lack the ability to hit it on the same line more consistently. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. So right here, what I have in front of me right here, the line that's next to the ball right here, is called the target line. The target line is where we want the ball to go. Okay? It's lined up. So if you're aiming right down that line, that should be there. So where I start my routine, I'm going to start behind the ball, right here. Because there's no better view than standing right behind the ball to know which direction I want to go. Now here's where there's a few different thoughts on this, and one of the thoughts is when I line up right here, I'll look at the flag. So right now we're looking at that circle in the middle of the screen. And what was a little bit of a trend for a little while was people would pick a spot on the ground right here, just a couple inches in front of the ball. So it's called spot aiming. So my issue with that is that I can line up, that'll help me line up the club to where I want it to go, but it doesn't help me with my body, okay? Because I'm going to be staring at something just in front of me right here. What that's going to do is it's going to more than likely encourage my body to line up and point to the right. And that's what we want to avoid. So that's what I want to make sure you do. So when you're back here, and you pick that line to the hole, or you see the line to the hole, what you need to do is pick something bigger beyond the hole, on the other side of the hole, like the top of a tree, okay, or anything like a tower, anything like that. And if it's not high up, even something behind, it should be past the pin, okay. What that allows you to do is it gets you to line up a little bit bigger, and that brings you to the next point, which is the body line. That's the part where people make the biggest mistakes. It's the body line. Okay? So, if I'm lining up my club down the middle, okay, to that target that's beyond, and then I want to place my feet, this is the target line with my feet. This is my foot line, okay, my body alignment. These two lines, okay, for the most efficient golf swing you can get, these two lines should never meet up. This line should never point to this line. They should never meet up, even past the pin. This line should never meet up there. They should never cross. Okay? So that's why we have this here, is that if you're working on, so these two lines, you can say they're parallel. I set them up as parallel as I can. The other term for that is called square. So I'm trying to be square to the ball. Okay? So what I'm trying to do is make sure my toes are the same distance from this line, my target line. That's how you know your body alignment. How are your toes lined up there? So some people turn their feet open, they turn their feet open, so it doesn't matter. As long as if you can picture a line in between your toes, and they draw a line left, for me it's left of the target, okay? That's what we want to make sure we do. The feet do not point to the target. they point to the left of the target for a right-handed golfer. For a left-handed golfer, it's the opposite. I'd obviously line up the other way, and I don't want my feet to aim that way. I want them to aim slightly right of target. Okay, so that's what we're shooting for. The reason I mentioned the distance, the target and the distance, you should pick something beyond the pin that's taller. It's because it's easier for your body, for you to visualize your body with the target in front of you when it's out there. If I'm looking here, now that's kind of really hard to get a good feel for it, because remember, you're not going to have these lines when you're out on the course, so you're not going to be able to do that. You got to guess pretty much what it is. So if you have a good routine where you aim the club and then you place your feet, you want to get good at looking out to your target. And if you can see, the target line here is in front of me. Okay? If I line up this way, okay, so my feet, this one's closer to the line, this one's further back. Okay, this is a little exaggerated, but if I line up like this, what's happening is now the target is behind me. I got to look over my shoulder to where I want to hit it. That's what we don't want. Now, there's two things wrong with that. Is that one, it's going to be very hard for me to get the club on the line. Okay, and the other part is I can't follow through as well. I can't do the motion I want, which is turn and face the target. You've seen it on TV. They all make that nice, beautiful motion, finish nice and high, and all that stuff. Well, they're turning their hips to face the target. Well, if I turn my hips this way, I can't do that. I can only go so far. So that's going to affect your ability to generate more power. So again, your feet you should try to be going for square, parallel to this line, or slightly open, or pointing to the left. That's the term is, so this one was closed, and this, as you zoom, closed to the target, okay? And this is open. So open, my chest is more towards the target. That puts the target in front of me, where I'm going to be able to swing out to the target. Okay? That's what we want. We want to swing out to the target. We don't want to swing across the body, because that's where you're going to lose a lot of power. And I guarantee that's a lot of you, if anybody's watching, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to lose a lot of power if you start lining up this way. Okay? So again, lining up the club, get that stance square to these target lines, focus on something beyond, okay, and then make sure your feet are pointing to the left of that target. Okay? So now we got all that figured out. Perfect. So when we're looking at these things and alignment and so on, the last part, the big part that we got to make sure that we get down pat is posture. Posture is so important, okay? Posture allows you to make a good golf swing or a bad golf swing, okay? The most common thing for people to do is once they get themselves all lined up and everything, the most common thing is that people sit like this. They sit back on their heels. So they'll stand too close to the ball, first and foremost, and then they're going to sit back, and now all of the weight's on the heels. That's the most common one, okay? Now, there's others that go like this, and they reach, and now they look like they're going to fall forward. So I'm going to go through a few of the things you've got to be watching for when you're looking for your posture. So the first thing first is you can't figure out that distance from the ball without this. You need the club. The club needs to be behind that golf ball. Okay? If you don't have it, so if you're trying to figure out your posture and the club's up here, how do you know how far to stand? You don't. Okay? You need that club. So the first thing first, the club has to go there. You probably likely take your grip at that point. Okay, so now I have my grip. I have it the way I want it. Grip goes there. I'm going to kind of line myself up, looking at my target, but now I got to find that posture. So when you've seen on this, you've heard the term waggling. Waggling is kind of like a little dance that golfers do, just to find that nice posture, that nice feel before they make the swing. Okay. So what we're looking for that is, what I like to look at is I want to make sure that everyone understands what the knees are supposed to be doing. So what I always tell someone is, once you got your distance, or you have that feeling, what you should be doing is lock your knees, and then just unlock them. Don't bend them, okay? That's not going to help, okay? Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up sitting. Okay? It's not sitting. That's not an athletic position for golf. Okay? For others, you might do that, but in any case, what you have to try and do is get your weight on the balls of your feet. Okay? So it's not all the way on the toes. Obviously, we don't want to fall over. What I'm looking for is a good 50-50 balance front and back. So what I'm doing is first is lock the knees, unlock. That's it. So you can hardly tell that I've actually bent my knees, but they're bent. Okay? So they're just unlocked. That's it. How I'm going to get myself over the ball isn't with my knees, it's with my hips. I'm going to lean forward to the point where now my arms are going to just hang from my shoulders. And then if I find that distance, the club should meet up with my hand. So if I'm too close, and I do this, the club's going to not be there. So I'm going to be way down on the grip, and it's just not going to work. So I'm too close, I've got to back up. So if I'm too far, I'm going to do this. I'm going to unlock, bend, and then the club, oh, it's way over there. Now I've got to reach. Okay? So what we're looking for is just to unlock the knees, and then bow, where your hands are just hanging from your shoulders, and you've got about one fist, 1.5 fists from your legs. Okay? So again, I'm bowing enough to get the weight off of my heels, but not on my toes. Okay? I don't want to say, oh, it's got to be 60-40 or 70-30. You don't even need to think about it. The main part is that don't be on your heels and don't be falling over forward. So ideally, what I like to say is try to feel like you're 50-50, but if you want to get a better feeling, you might want to lean a little bit more than 50. Feel like you're in that athletic position a little bit towards the ball. Okay? Where you can still do some aggressive motions, because that's the part that's going to be doing the work. It's not the middle of your foot back here. It's more towards the balls of your feet. Okay? The balls of your feet are not set up in the middle of your foot. They're a little bit towards the front. So that's where you should feel. That's where the weight is. That's where my athletic position is. So that's the posture we should be looking for. So it looks a little bit like this. Aim the club, grip, line up those feet to their square. And I'm just finding that posture where, okay, my arms are just hanging. I'm not reaching out to the golf ball. Okay? This is the death move right here. It's this. We get very straight. Okay? We try to get that club to sit perfectly flat. And what ends up happening, so if you're shorter or taller or whatever, that's just not what you're looking for. You have to keep your body in that proper posture. Okay? So once you find that bow, that bow at your hips, you'll find that posture. Oh, this is a good athletic position. I got that club in that right spot. Now I'm free to make my move. So one thing I want you to notice, my arms are hanging, and the club and my arms make an angle. There's supposed to be an angle there. They're supposed to go down, and the club goes to the ball. It's not supposed to be a straight line. And it's definitely not supposed to be down here. So if your hands are right into your legs, now you're gonna hit your legs on the way back. You've got to give enough room for your arms to swing. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, is make sure that you're off the heels, not leaning too far forward, and then we're in a good position. And you're free to make a nice swing. That's my 9-iron. I'm not sure if there's been any questions yet. I'm just going to check my phone, make sure that I don't know if you've seen anything on there, Seth.
No, they're probably commenting about how I can't keep the camera straight. I've been holding it up for a while.
Yeah, I probably could put it on a tripod and do that, but the idea is you got to be able to move with it, so bear with us. We're trying to figure this out. I'm going to log into my page here.
Just another hit on where we are and what we're doing.
Perfect. Okay, so I got a few. I got Al Robichaud up in Kapuskasing. A couple of comments. So what I'm again, just a little recap for people. We're here giving free tips, but I want some questions. Send me some questions. I will be happy to answer a few things specific to what your miss is. If you're having a hard time hitting a particular shot, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I got lots of knowledge. I can help you. I can figure this out even through a setup like this. So send me some questions. That being said, we're going to pretty much kind of just wait a few minutes for a couple of questions to come in, but take a few more swings. Again, going through the motions of the grip, the posture, the alignment. Those are very important parts. Next time, what I'd like to do is there's one other thing in the setup before we even start thinking of swinging the club. There's one more thing that you want to make sure you get consistent, and that's your ball position. So your ball position, it needs to be, and that's basically the ball. Where should it be in between your feet? Okay. There's all kinds of myths about where it should be, so try to hit it back here. It should be more forward, and so on. I'll give you a more specific routine. So there's a little bit more information about that to get into, but I'll work on some visual aids so people can see it specifically. But that's what I want to make sure. That's the other piece about pre-swing fundamental. Before you even think about swinging the golf club, we want to make sure that you got that setup consistent. Which will help you make more contact. So I'll take a couple more swings. I'll just talk about a few general things that I've seen people do over the years that you should consider fixing. So now that I have my nice alignment lines here that you can't really take with you onto the golf course, you need to get that good picture in your head of what you're actually trying to do with your golf swing. So once we have a good grip, good alignment, good posture, there's something specific you should be trying to do with your swing, okay? So when you're taking a golf swing, the most common thing that any golfer taking up a golf club does is that they'll take the club right away, they'll take it up here, okay? So they go up towards the head, okay? So you see I'm taking the club and it's going away from my feet here. It's going past this line over here, okay? We don't want that. Okay, this is the death move. We're going to get here, and what's going to happen is you're going to want to do the same. You're going to want to come back the same way. So you're going to come across. So when you see my hands are going into my body, We don't want to do that. That is the most common thing that people do is they swing into their body. So like I said about the alignment, if your body's aimed to the right, you're going to always be swinging into your body. So you're going to eliminate a lot of potential power doing it. So what we want to work on is on your takeaway, when you take the club back, if you can visualize a line going right through, and I apologize, I forgot one of my training aids, one of my visual aids, is that it would help you see a line. So if you can, regardless of how tall you are, so you could be 6'5", or you could be a little guy like me, 5'6", I'll say, almost 5'6". I know some might say 5'3", but no, it's 5'5", at least 5'5". What you want to do is there's a couple of fundamentals you got to follow. There's a line that you got to imagine that goes from the golf ball, okay, and right through my chest and out the back. So if you can visualize that line, we want that line to visualize, go right through my chest and out the back, way out there, okay? So that line, okay, is the swing path line. So if you're looking from where you're looking at right now, you should be able to visualize the line from the ball, right through my chest, right in the middle of my chest, and out the back, okay? When I'm taking my club back, and again, it doesn't matter how tall you are, this line applies to you, okay? So you always draw that line. If you've got good posture, this line really, really helps. If you have bad posture, it won't be as good, but you still got to follow the fundamentals of this, okay? So what I'm going to try and do is when I take the club back, I'm going to go like this. So notice that it didn't go out here. I'm going to take it back. It's not straight back. Because if I take it straight back, I'm going to have a tendency to take it more out. Okay? What you have to visualize is the club is supposed to go around your body. Okay? So to do that, and if I got my good posture going, all I got to do is turn my shoulders. If I turn my shoulders, it'll work. Go ahead.
We're good?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, we just got to come in. No problem. New laser tag, a lot of birthday parties here, so if you're ever wondering if there's something to do.
Yeah, it just switched over here. Or...
There you go. So yeah, so if you're ever looking in, there's lots of things to do here. on top of just golfing. There's a mini putt right next to us too. So again, so what we're trying to do is we're going to get the club to follow that line. So when I get up here, the club should be pretty much matching that line. So the butt end right here, okay, the butt end or my shaft should be pointing at the ball at this point, okay? It shouldn't be down here, and it shouldn't be vertical like this. It shouldn't be pointing straight down, okay? So as I said, the most common thing is for people to take it up like this, okay? So if I look at it like that, it's pointing straight down. We have to take that club more around the body. So what I do is you focus on turning your shoulders, and you let the club work its weight behind you. So when you get up here, you have a nice good shoulder turn, and your club is on that plane. Swing plane to me is what most people have to work on. Posture is right up there. It's the number one fundamental before you take the swing, I feel, is one of the biggest things. Alignment too, but posture very important. But the swing path, that's where people lose the most of their power and their ability, the swing path. So that's why I want to talk about it a little bit today. Swing path is we want to make sure that that club is going to follow that line. So again, from the ball, through the chest, out the back, follow that line if you can. So when you get up here, you got the club pointing at the ball. Okay? Not down here, so that's laid off or flat. And if we get up here, it's vertical, it's too upright. We want that nice 45-degree angle. So when I'm working on it, I'll just repeat it over and over again. Get in the posture, okay? Turn. And then I check. Okay. I'm pointing at the ball. I've got a good line. Even if you do a 3/4, it doesn't have to be way up here, okay? It can just be 3/4. The other thing that helps, so one of the ways to make sure this happens is understanding what this elbow is supposed to do. Okay? So the most common thing is to swing with your arms. Everybody wants to swing with arms. And that's right. There's some good golf swings where you use a lot of arm. Jim Furyk comes to mind. He picks the club up and so on. But before he starts his downswing, he gets the club right where it's supposed to be. So, but before that is we've got to make sure we understand what this elbow should be doing. And it shouldn't be going up like this. See, that's called the chicken wing or the flying elbow. There's all kinds of terms for it.
The Gordie Howe?
The what? The Gordie Howe, sure. We call it, little Northern Ontario or Canadian, the Canadian term for it probably should be the Gordie Howe. So the elbow should be down, okay? It doesn't have to be stuck to your body. I have more of a swing that where I keep it pretty much tight to my body, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a little bit off your body, but the point is that it's not up here. It's got to stay down, okay? That'll help you make the club go around, okay? That'll make the club end up here rather than here. See what it did to the club? Oh, look at that, elbow's up here. So some might just bring it here. It might not even be way up there, but look how vertical the shaft gets. You've got to keep that elbow down. Okay? So elbow down. That will allow you to, when you come back down, to get the club moving this way into the ball. So if you can see, if most golfers go this way into the ball, okay, that's across the ball, okay, I'm trying to hit it straight, but my path is going to the left, that's going to cause a glancing blow. You're not going to transfer energy into the ball, you're going to be swiping across the ball, okay? And on top of that, people usually tend to have the club face wide open so the ball turns back. So you swing to the left, ball starts left, and then your club face isn't turned at all, and it's pointing to the right. So that's how you get the big banana. Okay, you swing to the left, your club face is pointing to the right. That's where you get that beautiful, beautiful curve that we all love and hate at the same time. Some people play it very well. Hey, that's what I play. You get out there, you aim left, you swing it, and you know what it's going to do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, Zach Connor would like to know how to hit a baby cut.
Hit a baby cut?
That's what he just asked.
Well, that's pretty much what we're talking about right now, is understanding how you make a ball go straighter, okay? And I'll answer Zach's question that there's a couple of ways to do it, okay? And finding how your swing path is your most predominant swing path, you want to play within that tendency. So if you have a very, very consistent swing pattern, which is very flat, which I would say, Zach, yours is very flat, because I know your swing, there's a particular way you want to do it. But if you're just gonna try to hit a little cut, like I just explained, you have the big cut, which is swing across the ball, okay, with the club face pointing to the right. If you do that, you're gonna get the big banana to the right. So if you want to do a little smaller variation of that, is that instead of coming more around your body, you want to make sure you come more down the line, okay? And your club face, what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep your club face from turning. Don't let your club face rotate. So that's what happens at the bottom of the swing right here is your wrists usually turn. And I'll say most people don't do this. That's a whole other session. But what you're supposed to be doing is the club's supposed to be turning over and rolling your wrists. If you don't roll your wrists, or if you want to hit a little bit of a baby cut, as Zach asked, what you try and do is you try to hold your wrist from rotating. And you just hold that position longer, keeping that club face square, and then you just swing down the line, and you'll get that a little bit. There's other ways of doing it. You can even aim a little bit more left and then push it out to the right and have your club face open. You can just simply keep your same swing that you always do, and just open your club face at a rest. So if I take my setup, and I'm all good, I'm normal, and then I just kind of turn the club face and retake my grip. And I just take my shot. That should give you that little baby cut. It's a little harder to do with a short iron. I'll mention that. Baby cuts, you're more likely to hit it straight with a short iron than you are to actually hit a cut, or also known as a fade for those who aren't familiar with that term. It's for me, it's a shot that's going to move to the right. Okay, so I can start it a little bit left and then move to the right. So you got a little cut. I naturally have a draw. I start the ball a little bit to the right and it turns to the left. That's my natural shot. But if I want to hit a more straight shot, again, for me personally, I just focus on keeping my wrists more from turning over too aggressively. I just hold. It's called a hold off shot, so I'll just keep that club face square, long. But there's all kinds of ways to do it. I'll just say that. So just back to that swing path part. My last little tool that I have here. Got some extra tape. And what we're trying to do here is visualize the club should come back to the ball like this. So if you can see that, I can exaggerate a little bit, but for the most part, it's there. So I'm putting this line here. So if my ball is right on that line, I was talking about taking the club and making sure it goes around your body. And again, it's a little exaggerated just because I want you to see it. But the club should be coming back into the ball on this line. Not straight down the line, but coming into the ball from the inside part. So this side of the line where I'm standing, this is the outside, this is the inside. I want the club to come towards the ball from the inside. Okay? So that's why I put that in line. So when I picture myself hitting this shot, I want to visualize my club coming into the ball. That guarantees more energy transfer. We talked about earlier what the simulators can do in terms of ball speed and club head speed. So if I have good club head speed and I have a good swing path where the club is going into the ball and not across the ball, you're going to generate more ball speed. That's what we want. That's distance. That's the distance people don't talk about. Is that, well, I got to make that club go faster. The faster I make the club go, the further I'll hit it. Yeah, sort of. You have to get good swing pattern. You got to get good energy transfer into the ball. It has to happen. So if you don't do that, you're gonna max out. So the idea is that if you can get more energy into the ball this way and traveling towards your target like that, okay, you will start getting much more power. Beyond that, the timing of understanding the rotation of your wrist or letting your wrist rotate, that's the other part of generating more power with this path. But in any case, you should be getting that club more around your body. Rotate the club behind here, get that path here, not upright, not flat. Get that butt end pointing at the ball. And then when I turn and I follow through towards the target, see my hips are turning, I'm trying to face the target, that'll make the club come into the ball rather than across the ball. That's the move we gotta get rid of. If you're going across the ball, we have to get rid of that. It's just you're losing so much power. Okay, so again, we're good. I just want to point out again, this is a little bit exaggerated, even though it can work. Be more like this. Okay, it's very slight, but it's much better than coming across. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. My feet are parallel to that. Okay, for a square, I tend to aim more left. I like having the club in front of me, and I swing out, and the ball draws. But for today's purpose, I'm trying to work on being more square, so I'm making sure my toes are the same distance to this line right here.
Talk louder.
Sure. Sorry, I'm losing my voice already. An hour of talking. Oh my god. Okay, so here we are. Idea is to follow club into the ball. Okay, the club's got to go into the ball to generate more power. Work on the posture, line up, swing, following the path in here. That's pretty straight. 155 yard, 9 iron. I'll take that. That's what I'm shooting for. That's a normal distance for me.
All right, you want to tell them where we are, what we're doing again?
Yeah, I'll remind everyone what we're doing here. We're pretty much we're ready to kind of end it here. I'm running out of content unless somebody has more questions. Well, I want to make sure everyone understands that I want to do this once a week, Sundays, 7 o'clock. If some people say, well, you know, it's maybe a little bit tough time, we can maybe move it to 8 o'clock, but right now it's 7 o'clock. Every week, send me in your questions. We're here at Neo Laser Tag. I'm going to be answering anything you want. I'll try and pick out some people online that want to fix something specific, and I'll give tips. So some of this stuff might just light bulb. Oh wow, you know what? That really applies to me. I can really figure that out. But what I really want is people to ask questions or tell me what's going on in your swing, and I'll dissect it with you. And then others will learn at the same time. Like we can actually fix a lot of little details in people's swings just by a little bit of information. I just need the information, and we'll find why you're doing that, and you can get better, and how you can get better just by getting, like I said, that light bulb moment where that's what I can do to get better. So that's what this is all about. Again, my name's Matt Vachon. Teaching for a lot of years. I'm located here in Northern Ontario, in Timmins. I'm available anytime to discuss it, but for the most part, I want to try and do this free clinic. People who want to ask questions, want to get better. I want to see people playing more golf. We got to get more golfers out there. That's my goal, is get as many golfers. So if we get more beginners out here to go through a few things, great. I'd love to start seeing way more people picking up the game. But we all have to, the people who've been playing the game for a long time, share it. Make sure people know about it, and if I'm real cheap. If people want to get if they want to get an actual lesson, we do lessons right here in Neo Laser Tag. I only charge $40. So if you go,
what?
Yeah, that's right, $40. So that includes the whole 1 hour session on here. So it's $40 for a private lesson, nothing big. If you go down south, that's 120, 130, $40, whatever. What I pride myself on is that usually when I spend some time with someone specific, and we're trying to fix something specific, I usually don't see that person either ever again, or I see them 5-6 years down the way, because they leave there with enough knowledge to fix themselves. That's my whole thing. I want to make sure people leave here understanding their miss, their shot, their swing, and why it's happening. So if you're having an issue, you're going to leave here with the knowledge to fix yourself. Why would I do that? Like, that's a bad business. But that's just always how I've done it. I want people to be able to go enjoy the game and not worry about having to get extra lessons. You should be able to give enough knowledge so you can figure it out on your own and enjoy the game. And then when you need a little tweaker, or you know what, something else is happening, and maybe something's changed in your body that you're getting stronger, or you're more flexible than you used to be. Your swing might change a little bit, but we can find out, okay, well, here's what's happening now. And a lot of it has to do with just understanding your ball. What's the ball doing in the air? If we know what the ball's doing, we can figure out why you're doing it. It's not hard to do.
On that note, Zach would like to know how to knock it down when shooting into the wind. If you can give a quick one on that.
Okay, a knockdown shot. Well, from that, I'll ask Seb if you can kind of go line up over here in front, or even just to the side of you. Because the whole idea with the shot, if you're trying to lower your trajectory, okay, you're trying to hit a lower shot, so that you don't get it up in the air and it balloons and it doesn't go anywhere. So what really happens, so someone like, I'll say Zach, because Zach has a lot of club head speed, for those who don't know who Zach is. The more club head speed you have, the tougher it is to do that. It's harder to control it. So what you're trying to do is actually, you're trying to control the spin on the ball, okay? The more spin you put on the ball, the more it wants to climb, the higher it wants to go, okay? So what you have to try and do is you have to control the spin. So here's a few ways of making sure we do that. So the first thing first is understanding that if you swing harder, or if you swing faster, the ball will rise, it'll climb. You're putting too much spin on the ball. You have to swing smoother, slower. Don't put spin on the ball, okay? So to do that, we want to make sure that what I was just talking about is making sure you have to have a flatter swing. So you want to make sure that you're swinging around your body, okay? Nice flat swing. What you're probably going to do is you're going to move the ball from your normal position. So right now the ball is just ahead of center for me, okay? So if I wanted to hit a little bit of a knockdown shot, what I'll do is I'll rip down on the club just a little bit. I'll choke down, get a little closer, okay? And I'm going to focus on a little bit flatter swing, so I'm going to take it more around my body, okay? And because if I come across the ball, like we were talking about, the slice swing, you're going to add more spin. The more you cut across the ball, the more spin you get. So you got to have a much shallower, much flatter swing. You don't want your ball digging into the ground. Your club, you don't want your club going into the ground. You want it to follow the ground. It's very shallow, so you're trying to brush very low. So, and if I have a shorter iron, like I have now, it's a 9 iron, I'm going to probably move it back in my set. So I'm going to move I'm going to shimmy my feet this way towards the target, so that the ball is not in the center, maybe just a little bit behind center. Okay, so I have a little bit of a choke down swing. So the last part is understanding that, again, we're not trying to accelerate. Okay, we're trying to make sense. It's all about angles. So you're trying to keep the club low, okay? And then on the follow through, again, you're trying to keep the club low. You're not trying to taking a big dip, okay? You're just keeping it low. So that's what you'll see, especially in the British Open tournaments and more European Tour type. You see what's called a half finish or sawed-off follow-through. That's what you call it, like a sawed-off shotgun. It's a sawed-off follow-through. So when you follow through, they go like this. So you see where the club, it's not a big follow-through like that, where you're holding the poles like that. You're actually going to keep it down and it's not going to be a full follow-through. So it's a very shallow, very shallow lane where you're brushing the grass more, and you're not swinging hard. You're going to take enough club to make sure you keep it under the wind, and you just take that nice smooth swing and just brush it off of there, and that'll keep the club low. You keep the spin off the ball. Okay, you keep the spin off of the ball. That's how you keep the ball from going. It's going to go a really good distance. You almost like, for me, I've always had the ability to keep the ball pretty low and not put too much spin on the ball. So when I play in windy days, like two club winds, very strong winds, I never really lost that much distance on my irons because I was able to keep that ball low and not spinning. It wasn't spinning a lot. So where guys were going with 2 more clubs, I was almost hitting the same club, maybe 1 extra club. But what I did, if I took the extra club, it was just to keep me from swinging harder. I don't want to swing harder, I want to swing smooth. Keep the club, keep the acceleration good, just back and through, keep the club low, a little bit of an angle forward, and low.
Want to hit another one from the back and then
Sure, yeah.
tell everybody what's going on?
Alright, so again, back here, trying to keep the club in here, okay, not out there. That's going to create more spin. It's a flatter motion, okay, keep it low. Much more low ball flight. So again, even though I'm trying to keep it low, if I hit that shot in the wind, you notice it still went almost 150 yards. But it carried 127 and it rolled. Well, if I was outside and I was hitting into the wind, it would the wind would pick up that ball a little bit, but if I took my normal swing, into the wind, it would just grab it and just go up, and it would hit a wall of wind and just fall, and I'd be short every time. So that's where the idea is. It's a smaller swing. I'm not going way up here. Just keeping a nice 3/4 kind of feeling to it. 3/4 feeling about right here, not way up there. Just keep it low. That's how I control the distance, control that ball flight.
And the machine will tell you a whole bunch about that swing. You can see his launch angle up there is only 11 degrees.
Yeah, I kept it. That was really low. That was definitely a 4-club wind shot. That's it. So you can really see if you're controlling that trajectory through watching the simulator and so on. So a little quick thing on the simulators, just so you know, if you've wondered what we're looking at here. On the simulators, you have the fairway, which is where I've been hitting most of my shots today. You have the sand right here, the white stuff, and then you got the rough. And then when you're actually playing the round golf, you're going to be putting. You're actually putting. So simulation golf is real golf. You've got to putt, you've got to chip, you've got to look at your yardages. It's the same thing. Okay. So you're going to putt from the yellow dot, white dot, yellow dot, or blue dot. The machine will tell you which dot to putt from. And again, it'll tell you how far you have to hit it. So now you got to think about how far you are. So the one thing that I'll just kind of talk about the myth about simulation or indoor golf, especially this type of machine. Everyone thinks that as soon as you hit it, it doesn't register until it hits the screen. It doesn't work like that. So if I'm chipping from back here, you have to understand that as soon as you make contact, it's registered. It's not after it hits the screen. It's not. So that means the distance from here to there it counts. So what I always tell you, this from here to there is about 8 yards. So if I was hitting a bump and run at 8 yard, if I landed 8 yards, it'll roll to this. So if I just hit a little bump and run like that, it'll land and it'll roll out to 15 yards or so. Okay. The nice thing about these machines is that you can. There's different settings, so you can practice 40-yard shots. There's a different setting to practice 40, 50-yard shots. That's the key, is getting a feel for 50 yards especially. So if you come in here and you hit a bunch of drivers and all that, before you actually play around, you should hit a bunch of 50-yard chip shots. And just get a feel for what 50 yards is. If you get that feel, you'll be able to do 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. You'll really get a feel for it. So again, the same with the putting. If you're putting from the first dot here, let's say, okay, well, the distance from the dot to the screen is already 6 feet. Okay, so you got to take it. So if you only have a 10-footer, it's only 4 feet after the screen. It's not 10 feet after the screen. That's why everyone gets kind of a little messed up on it. So a lot of people hit the ball too far, basically, is what ends up happening. So that's what you just got to watch out for, is getting a feel and understanding that as soon as you make contact, it counts. If there's a bunker in front of you, okay, that bunker is right here. It's not over there. It's right in front of you. Okay, so if you have to get over something, it's right there. So if you have a lip on the screen, you have to put yourself in that screen mode, and you have that lip. It's not over there. It's right here. It's right in front of you. So you have to take the right club and make sure you get it over. You got to get it over that thing, because it's right here. It's not over there. So those are the little things that you learn as you play. little tricks that we, as I've played a lot and others have played a lot, they've learned that, oh, okay, you got to submerge yourself a little bit in that world, and it makes a lot of sense after that. So the tendency for indoor golf, just so everyone understands, the first time and the second time are tricky. You're going to struggle at first because of distance control, but by the third, fourth time, you're going to start understanding it. And what ends up happening, the more you play on these, you're going to be a way better scorer in here than you are outside. Okay. The reason for that is you're going to make more putts in here. You're going to be able to. You're going to get a little extra distance in here once you start hitting it good. All that stuff. So for me, just to give you an example, I'm not known as much of a great putter, although I have been getting a lot better in the last 2 years. Switched to the claw grip, just like Sergio and other people you've seen out there. It's changed my life. So I'm really excited about playing golf now, which is awesome. I still have a little bit of the yips in my chipping, but I'll work on that. Me and Tiger are kind of going through the same thing there. But that's what working on here really helps you out when you start judging your distances and so on. That's what this is all for. So as I said, the more you get used to it, the more you start getting. So for putting, just back on that point, in here I average about 27 putts around. I make a lot of putts on the simulator just because I understand it and it makes sense to me now. Whereas my first 2 rounds, I think I probably had 45 putts. It was tricky, and then I started, oh, okay, now that I understand the distance from the screen counts, I started making tons of putts. So outside, I would never average 27 putts per round. Nobody does. Like that's crazy. But as you'll see, is as you get better in here and you start hitting your spots around, you'll bring that out to the golf course, and you'll start putting a lot better out there too. So you get yourself maybe to the 32, 33 putts per round average. And if you really get good, get to that 30 number. If you can average 30 putts per round, you're going to have some pretty good scores. So hopefully that was informative. There was a lot of info. Maybe I have another question. I'll nothing in there. I look forward to doing this again next week. In the meantime, you can send me some content over the course of the week. Follow us at Matt Vachon Golf on Facebook. Looking at my website's going to launch pretty soon. As soon as I get it live, I'm just making a few tweaks on it. But you definitely get a hold of me through Matt Vachon Golf. Please share our page with other people so that they can tune in on a regular basis and ask questions. You can ask me questions any time of the week. I'm fine with it. I'll answer questions, especially equipment questions. I get them all the time. What type of equipment should I be playing and so on. Those are a couple of answers. You send me a couple of answers, I'll be able to really give you some information on that and so on. So this was a good try. Lots of talking. I like it. I'm more than happy to share some information. Seb, if there's anything you want to add?
Well, I want you to give the people what they want and take out that driver there and hit a good ball. Give the people what they want to see.
This is what everyone. This is the golf game right here. It's all about this.
Grip it and rip it.
I'd say the short game.
Well,
The short game is more where you're gonna really take control of your game. But if this thing is not in play, then you're gonna struggle. And for those who have played with me over the years, I've been struggling with my control over this, but it's gotten a lot better in the last 2 years, and I'm feeling a lot better. And a lot of it has to do with just working on rhythm. So that could be another session, and feeling like kind of like that sawed-off shot that we were just talking about for the keeping the ball under the wind. It's it's less effort. Less effort gets you more results. So there you go. Little pull, but I caught it pretty good.
oh, and breaks it.
I thought I was going to hit 300.
311. It's a good day in the office.
311, I'll take that on most days. One more, see if we can get a little straighter. They're replaying the World Long Drive competition tonight on Golf Channel. So maybe channeling a little bit of that. But the longest drive we've seen on the simulators is actually from Zach Connor. I think it was like 460 yards, something like that. It's pretty long. The longest 6-iron I've ever seen, I'll just mention, was Andre Robichaud. I think he came over one night and I think he hit about a couple of 6 irons, about 240 yards. He's just tattooing it. Just trying to make us look bad. Whoa! And there's my miss. That's my swing too hard. Why you're trying to hit it 340 yards swing. And it never goes 340 yards.
Do we let him redeem himself or do we cut him off?
One more, come on, let me have one more. Posture was bad there. Oh, worse. Never mind, I'm done.
On that note, closing thoughts?
I look forward to hopefully have more people. Last thing too is anybody locally, you're welcome to come to Leo Laser Tag in person. You don't have to just do it online. I'd love to see some people in here, so I can use them as I can get you on here, and I can work on your swing while people are asking questions and so on. So I'd love to have some people in-house asking questions. So please visit us, come out and come hang out for about an hour here at the Leo Laser Tag and formerly Northern Swing. So look forward to doing it again. Thanks a lot, everybody.